ACC Commissioner Jim Phillips has said, look, after all of this, taking those shots from Notre Dame, which were wildly unfair, in which Brett Yormark, among others, agrees that Notre Dame athletic director Pete Bevekwa was out of pocket, really going after the ACC for promoting ACC member for the college football playoff, even as the ACC says this is not really what we did. The fallout has been, how do we make this better? Not just because the ACC needs more teams, or even because Notre Dame was left out of the college football playoff, but quite simply, you're missing one thing. What's up, kid folk? It's RJ Young. I am not on a step mill. If this is your first time watching, adapt and respond. Thank you for joining us here. We talk college football year round. If you're into that, hit that subscribe button, like this video, and answer the question in the comments below. Do you think that we need more teams in the college football playoff? Because it is trending in that direction. It's not just me, though I have been playing with a hypothetical 24-team playoff. I did a bigger segment yesterday about how that could look, and I'll continue to educate folks about how this 24-team format would look, because it's not my format, and it's not something that I've dreamed up or anybody else has dreamed up with any power to implement it. It is the format that is being populated inside of the circles where the decisions happen. That's college football playoff board of managers. That's the conference commissioners, athletic director at Notre Dame, and the television networks. The Big Ten started pushing that idea, and it's not just 24. It's even got a 28-team model. But why are we here? How do we get here? Well, ACC Commissioner Jim Phillips says it correctly. You got to extend the playoff. Why? Because when you have more teams that are capable of winning the national championship that get left out, you've got a bad bracket. That's just how this works. I also thought it was interesting that he went out of his way to say, I don't know that 16 is the answer. As a matter of fact, the question was, do you want to expand to 16 teams? Do you think that would fix it? To which Phillips said, you may need to look at a little bit more than that. They meet in Vegas, and he said, we had a great session as we were evaluating some of those options. Again, there are models that range from 16 that the SEC is populating to 24 that, again, the Big Ten is populating. And the way that would work is simple. You have 4 automatic qualifiers, but I think automatic is really messing up the sauce here. So teams that make the playoff, just like you have in the NFL or in high school football or in most tournaments. You win in your group, right? FIFA World Cup, you get to move on to the knockout rounds. That's how this works. So the group play is basically conference, right? So if you are one of the top 4 teams in the standings in the Power 4, you're going to play in the college football playoff regardless of what your record is. So that might mean an 8-5 Duke gets into the playoff. It also means that a 10-2 Miami, a 10-3 Alabama, so forth, 10-2 Vanderbilt, 11-2 BYU get into the playoff. You have a bunch of teams that deserve the opportunity. Utah to play for a championship. And you also get teams in there that you might not otherwise expect, like Texas, 9-3, USC, 9-3, Michigan, 9-3, or even, dare I say it, this committee's fascination with 8-4 Iowa, who I think would get I think they get absolutely beat down by a group of 6 teams had they get in there. But you also get 2 group of 6 teams in there. And the way that the group of 6 teams are qualified is they got to be picked by the selection committee, which means you're picking from conference champions, I hope, right? It'd be Conference USA. It'd be like Kennesaw State this year, or James Madison in the Sun Belt, or Boise State in the Mountain West, so forth. That might need to get a little bit more of a process where you talk to the G6 about what it is they would like to see done, and as far as how their 2 teams get selected. But I think leaving it up to the committee is right now the best answer. It's not the best answer we could come up with, right? If there's a better one, let's do that. How do they qualify for this tournament? I'm not for having a separate tournament for the G6. We call that the FCS. They moved up for a reason. So let's treat them like FBS teams as much as we possibly can. Why the Power 4 and not the G6? Because the Power 4 have the bigger brand football teams and the bigger television revenue contracts. And there's no reason for them to want to split the money that they bring into their conference with the G6, which is why we get back around to this Notre Dame thing. Notre Dame works for itself. Notre Dame works for itself. That's it. Notre Dame does not work with partners. Notre Dame does not work with college football programs as partners. They work with a television network as a partner. It's called NBC. They have an exclusive contract with them to have all their home games on NBC's network, right? Within reason. So, like when Notre Dame traveled to Georgia and it was on CBS, same difference. And that's how these things work. Dibs go to, in most respects, right? The simplest way to put this is, if the Big Ten has top tier rights for Fox is going to get the home games more often than not for those Big Ten matchups. So when Michigan or Texas went to Michigan, Fox had the game. When Texas went to Ohio State, Fox had the game. You get what I'm saying there. And this is also going out the window when we talk about the college football playoff, because ESPN bought the rights to the entire college football playoff, which means you're not going to see those games on any other network unless they choose to sublease them, right? Like they did to Warner with the TNT True TV product, where they're going to have the 5-12 matchup, Oregon James Madison this year. It also is a great way for them to not include the other networks, right? Everything is competition, and inventory in the sport is everything, but they're also paying an arm and a leg for it, $7.6 billion. If Notre Dame were to make the playoff again, they could do what they did last year, which is basically clean up $20 million for themselves out of that pool of money that is the $7.6 billion that is being paid out over the course of the agreement for the college football playoff. And this is why the College Football Playoff Board of Managers is also thinking about extending this thing. Now, that doesn't mean that necessarily ESPN is going to pay more. Disney's going to pay more for this. It does mean, however, that you're going to have more of your teams get a share of that pie to bring home to you. And you're going to make a better product, right? More teams is a better product. I know this because I used to rank 25 teams all the time, and I still do, and it's a great product. But when I rank 136 teams and I give it the kind of spirit and finesse that I do everything else, it becomes a bigger 20,000 word product that everybody feels served with. And it's really fun to talk through. I think when we're talking about this thing, though, the thing that I want you to take from all of this is that we have already reached a point where it's going to be difficult to not go extend the playoff, because we're having not just Notre Dame pick up its ball and go home and throw darts at the ACC. We're also having other programs have to come out and say, no, we like playing football. We don't want to give up on this. This is an opportunity to continue what is a historic season for some of us. Like Iowa State, Kansas State opting out. Iowa State was a good football team, lost their head coach. Kansas State was a okay football team and lost their head coach, qualified for bowl games. They decided they didn't want to play, and their athletic departments are eating $500,000 from the Big 12 as a fine. That also covers the bowl game that expected to have a team for not playing. In the case of like Vanderbilt, Clark Lee had to say, look, man, I'm not going to comment on their situation, but we love football. And I really would love to put, a really good ending on what has been the best season that we've ever had at Vanderbilt. Right? They're going to go down to Tampa. They're going to play, and they're probably going to get to 11 wins or damn sure try. And I think that's noble, but I also think that's the sport. Like, do you like playing football? That's the other question I would have for Notre Dame. Do you like playing football? Like, honestly, because if you like playing football, why would you give up on the opportunity to do that? Now, on the one hand, yeah, it's a business. I want to play football for money. Cool. I want to play football for money is not as simple as I want to play football, right? Professional is doing the job on the days, or excuse me, actually, Julius Erving said this. Being a professional is doing what you love on the days that you don't want to do it. I live with that all the time. I think about that quote all the time. There are lots of people doing exactly what they want to do. And there are days when that thing that they exactly want to do seems hard and impossible, and they just want to break. But being a professional means you show up to work. Notre Dame took PTO.